Are you drinking soda pop at 6 o'clock in the morning?
I am. I don't have coffee.
You don't have coffee? So you're drinking Coca-Cola?
No, it's Dr. Pepper. One
Oh,
second.
Dr. Pepper is acceptable. Dr. Pepper is good anytime, day or night. Dr. Pepper is the greatest soda pop to ever walk the face of the earth.
I like Mountain Dew.
I don't drink Mountain Dew.
I got that too. And a Baja Blast.
Yeah, I don't drink those. Here we go. Hello
Ha!
and welcome. Every time. Why? Why do you do this?
Because I'm a menace.
Yeah, you don't have to edit. Here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 19 of the Watch It Bro podcast. I am Tristan.
And I am Marshall.
And today we are going to be looking at The Sandlot.
Yay.
This
I'm actually
was...
surprised we haven't done this one earlier.
Yeah, I don't know why we didn't do it. This is a favorite of ours growing up. Well, a favorite of mine. I don't know how much you care about baseball.
Not a lot about baseball, but I like this movie a lot. I think it's one we both really remember too.
Well, we'll find out, won't we?
Yeah.
No, yes, I remembered this quite well. But yeah, this was a fun one. So let's get into the specs of this thing.
Okay.
It was directed by David Mikey Evans, written by David Mikey Evans and Robert Gunter. It's starring Tom Geary as Smalls, Mike Vitar as Benny the Jet Rodriguez, Patrick Renna as the great Hambino himself, Hamilton Ham Porter, Chauncey Leopardi as Squints, Marty York as Yeah, Brandon Adams as Kenny, Grant Gelt as Bertram, Victor DiMattia as Timmy Timmons, Shane Obedzinski as Tommy Timmons. That rounds out the kids.
Oh, okay.
And then the adults that are important are Dennis Leary, Karen Allen, and James Earl Jones.
Yes, those are the important adults. And I think those are the important adults.
Yeah. It is narrated by David Mikey Evans as well. So the guy who directed it and wrote it also plays adult Smalls.
Yes.
And narrates it. It is not Daniel Stern.
No, it is not.
I say that because he famously narrated The Wonder Years.
Yes.
And for a while, I think we did think that he also narrated this movie.
Possibly.
But he did not.
No, and we're talking about him quite a bit.
Yes, we are. Anywho, getting into the movie. We start off with a guy... What?
I was just going to say there is one more important adult in this. Art LaFleur.
Yes, I was going to mention him when he appeared as like a surprise.
Oh, well, then you can cut this out.
Okay, yeah. Should I mention Marley Shelton as Wendy Peppercorn too? He wasn't on the Wikipedia. But I've said it, so it's there now. So we open with a guy walking down a stadium hall.
You got...
What? What?
You got this?
We open with a guy walking down a stadium hall. The stadium's closed, and that's our opening credits. And he goes into an announcer booth, and it shows some pictures. And the narrator starts talking and mentions the 1932 World Series Game 2, where Babe Ruth comes up to bat, full count, runner on, and points to the center field bleacher and calls his shot. Which is a true legend. That is an actual legend that was not just made up for the movie. That is a thing that actually happened.
Very famous thing, brought up in a lot of baseball media.
Yes, and after watching this movie, we did that every time we played backyard baseball.
Yes, and it never worked out.
Never. Every at bat, every time. Oh my gosh. Ad nauseum. We would.
That way.
Yeah.
That's a strike.
Yeah. And then I think we ended up having multiple Babe Ruth autographed baseballs floating around as well. Our backyard or our baseball collection. And then it talks about 30 years later, which sets the tone of this movie as the summer of 1962.
Yes.
And he says a kid named Benjamin Franklin Rodriguez gets him out of a pickle. Or the biggest pickle he's ever been in his life.
Yes.
And then we go immediately into flashback mode, and we see a kid. I'm going to name him now. It's Benny, and he is at bat
And fun fact, Benny was
Mm,
in Mighty Ducks 2 and 3.
he was.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
Played Luis,
he
the
did.
figure skater.
That was no.
No, that was no, he was the fast kid that couldn't stop.
Right. And then shortly after the Mighty Ducks movies, he gave up or he walked away from acting and became a firefighter.
Yes.
And so he is a firefighter to this day. But going back to the movie, yeah, he's at bat. He gets a solid hit, runs the bases. He's a greedy base runner and gets himself into a pickle between third and home and ends up scoring because he's just that good.
Yes.
And we go from there. It cuts to a pull-out shot of the neighborhood, and we show another kid unloading a U-Haul. This would be our main character, Scotty Smalls,
Good old Smalls.
killing me. And he's kind of just awkward. He's super awkward, and it shows it right away. Where
Yes.
he
Yes, it does.
notices Benny heading home, and he kind of awkwardly waves, and Benny gives him back like a head nod, and that's pretty much all that scene is. And then we cut to that night, and he's making chocolate milk.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's delicious. I love chocolate milk. I don't drink enough chocolate milk. But he mentions that the narrator comes back and mentions that his dad had died when he was a small kid and his mom remarried a guy named Bill. And he goes into Bill's man cave slash office and asks him if he can teach him to play catch.
And he's very awkward with how he addresses Bill as well. Sometimes it's Bill, sometimes it's Dad. He's still
It's it's always both.
yeah.
It's
Sorry,
either
Bill, or Dad, or
it's
Bill.
yeah, he starts out either dad or Bill, and then goes, I mean Bill, or I mean Dad. He
Right.
kind of just hasn't.
So I haven't watched this movie in a long time,
Yes.
and I knew Dennis Leary played Bill the stepdad. I had this is the first time I realized that his mom was Marion Ravenwood from Indiana Jones,
Yes. I almost
and
mentioned that
I I
earlier.
I saw the name pop up and like, no, that can't be. I've watched this movie for ages and I never pieced it together. It's the light brown reddish hair that she has that throws me off lately, I think.
But it is her.
Yes, yes, very much so.
Yep. But Bill agrees to teach Scotty to play catch, and Scotty is very excited and promptly leaves.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it is nighttime, so it's not like they're gonna go out and play ball.
True,
His
true. He's
timing's
just setting it up, right?
right. He's he's hopeful that eventually Bill's gonna get around to teaching him how to play catch. And so yeah, this movie does a good job actually, now that I think about it, just kind of setting things up to it has some of these little scenes in there where I mean, we get to know the character of Scotty really quick. He's just kind
Yeah,
of this awkward kid who doesn't really have any confidence in who he is or almost any sense of who he is really, other
yeah.
than like, he's smart. So we
True.
cut to
He's
the
smart and awkward.
yeah, which we can all relate with. Well, the awkward part. So we cut to the next day, and this kid gets his oversized fishing hat
Yep.
and his little plastic mitt, and he is running across town. Which I was like, oh, why are they showing him running across town at first? Like, whatever. But thinking on it, it's like, oh, it sets up. He goes by some important places that are going to come back in the movie,
Right.
and just it kind of sets up the town, which is great. Real smart filming.
True. But yeah, it also shows where he's going and what he's doing. He's
And
leaving the house. He's going to something.
right. Yeah, and other than him just leaving and running and then showing up at the Sandlot, which he does, he shows up at the Sandlot and they're all playing baseball. And the narration comes back over and comments that like he's watching them, observing them, and they don't pick sides, they don't keep score, they just play the game. And
Yeah.
every day they picked up right where they left off seamlessly, and all they care about
It's,
is just playing baseball.
yeah.
And I don't remember there being grass in the Sandlot.
Little bits here and there.
A
But it's
lot more than
mostly just a sand lot.
there's a lot of grass there. There's a lot of grass for them to be calling it the Sandlot. Like I was picturing no grass whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think maybe, and I didn't pay attention to it. I paid attention to it at first when we first saw it, and I'm like, oh, there's a lot of grass there. But like throughout the movie, is there less and less grass as it dies off?
Throughout the summer. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, fun fact too that this movie was filmed in chronological order.
Yes, it was. That was actually one of mine, and it was only filmed in 42 days.
Yes, which is very impressive
It is.
for a movie.
Yeah, especially when you have 9 kids.
Yes.
Fun fact, they were actually bribed to uh to behave while on set to get filming and production done
Oh yeah.
quickly. Yes. Um it's not particularly family friendly, but they were bribed with an adult themed magazine.
Ah, good old 90s.
Yeah. But so he's at the Sandlot.
Yes, at the Sandlot.
Fun fact
Creeping
again.
along the back. Oh,
Fun fact again. S- um, the kid who plays Scotty and the kid who plays Benny, they were actually put together a couple weeks early to build their rapport before the rest of the cast and crew joined
yeah.
filming.
There was supposed to be such since those 2 characters needed to have a good connection, they stuck them together and said, "Be friends."
Basically. And lucky for them, it worked out
Yeah, yeah.
because I believe all the kids actually liked each other and got
Mhm.
along. Which
Yeah,
9 kids, that's 9 strangers you're throwing together and hoping that they bond.
true.
That's tough. So Scotty Smalls is standing out in the outfield, and we get our first little tease of the beast. Spoiler: there is a beast. If you have not seen the movie, it's
Right.
a dog on the other side of the fence. The beast is the dog, and but they start teasing it, and this fence kind of rattles, and you hear some noises, and Scotty gets he's pretty zoned in on whatever's behind that fence. Ball gets hit. It's coming his way. They're yelling heads up because he's got no idea there's a ball headed for him. He notices, turns around, screams, and falls over
Right. We get
in
that
a
"ew"
in an
noise.
attempt to catch the ball. And they laugh at him.
Of course.
And then he goes to get the ball, and we find out he can't throw a baseball either. So maybe he should have waited until Bill taught him to play catch before he came out here and tried. But he gives it
Right.
he gives it his best shot, and the ball doesn't go very far. The kids laugh at him. He cries and runs home.
I mean, his plan was just to kinda stand out there and hope that nothing happened, that he would just be a person to stand there.
Right, because he mentions, and I forgot to mention it, that they have 8 kids and they needed a ninth. That's what he thought he would just stand there and take up space,
Correct. Yeah.
and without actually having to play, and he could get friends. But so yeah, he's upset because he I've, he's moved to a new town. This is his first attempt to make friends. He humiliates himself, and now he has no chance of making friends,
Right.
and runs home. And then we cut to that night, and he's playing with his erector set, which is awesome. I remember
Yes.
wanting that setup when I was a kid watching this movie
Oh,
with the
yeah, that
marbles and
that
all
was
that.
Richter sets were awesome, and that's something I always wanted to, but, I guess I don't know if they weren't as popular, if they still made them, but I ended up with Connects instead.
And connects were pretty cool.
Yes, they were. I had that big factory thing that the balls went up and fell down and
Yep,
the cat slept on.
that's right. Yoshi slept on that.
What a gizmo.
Gizmo too.
Yeah,
But yeah, we have a picture of Yoshi up on little one of the little cross beams.
a picture of both of them up on it.
Oh, okay. You still have all your connects?
Yeah, yeah, I still got a big box of them.
That's cool. You ever play with them?
Not for a while.
So we cut to the next. Nope, we're still at the it follows his little cool little setup, and the marble comes down and launches. Which why?
Just a
The,
little.
the, it launches marbles across his room at
Yeah,
the front at the door. So his mom walks in just as the marble gets launched and knocks her right in the forehead. And
yeah,
he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, mom. It was an accident." It's like, no kidding. He's a weird kid. But then we get his mom, and his mom's a good mom. She is very involved and caring, and she kind of sits him down and she asks if he's made any friends, and he says no, because he's just an egghead. And she says, "Well, you'll always be just an egghead with an attitude like that." It's like
yeah.
I like her. She's a straight shooter. And then she begs him to go outside. She doesn't want him in the house all summer. like he's been doing. Go outside, get dirty, get into trouble.
Not a
Not
lot
too
of
much,
trouble.
but some.
Yeah.
So good talk from mom. And then we cut to the next day, and Scotty's debating whether or not to ask Bill to help him or teach him to play catch.
Yeah.
And he finally works up the courage and goes and asks him. Bill says yes, but later, because he's busy with a work thing. And then mom steps in and is like, "Come on, dude, half hour. Give him a half hour." And Bill agrees. He can take a half hour break. And so we cut to outside, and this scene is fantastic. We
And
really
kind of painful.
it's cringy. There is some cringy moments to it, but it's played so well, and it's so weird because I spent so long not knowing that this was Dennis Leary
Yeah.
because it was the least Dennis Leary has ever been in his life.
Well, I think growing up, the only things we saw Dennis Leary in were this, and then The Ref, which is
A horrible movie. Don't watch it.
it's like
If you're
it,
listening to this, don't watch it. It's nothing but awful trash and filth. It is not. Don't
but
watch it.
that was what we knew Dennis Leary from as Dennis Leary. This was just
Right.
a dude.
But still, like, okay, so yeah, we watched The Ref, and then I saw a couple other Dennis Leary things here and there. But it wasn't until I rewatched Sandlot as an adult that I'm like, is that? That is. That's Dennis Leary. I had not like pieced it together
Yeah.
in my whole life until I rewatched it as an adult, and then I was like, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, it's not a big role in the movie. It's an important role, but it's just kind of there. His ADR seems off sometimes too,
yeah, a little.
but
It was filmed in 42 days.
right. And they're like, okay, you're gonna spend 3 days in the booth because you swear too much.
I, I don't think so. Because I watched for that and I didn't see anything that I didn't notice his ADR was even off. So they're playing catch,
Yes, they are having a catch.
and you could Bill looks over it from the beginning
Yeah.
when he throws the ball and Scotty just misses, and then he goes and gets it and then runs it back up and sets it in Bill's glove.
Yes, he does not want a repeat of the throwing incident from the Sandlot.
Right. And then we get, I think it's a series. It ends up being three throws. He
Yeah.
misses. He misses the first two. First, he sets it back in his glove. The second one, he like rolls it to him, and then the third one, by some miracle, he catches it with his glove and his face.
Yeah, he's just tells him he says just stick your your hand up and throw it right to
Wait,
you.
wherever your glove goes, wherever the ball goes, move your glove. Apparently, that was the right advice. But Scotty catches it and it doesn't. I guess doesn't any resistance in his arm. Just like hands it there, and it, like just smashes into his eye.
Yeah.
Which happened to me once when I was playing catch with Dad.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, we were playing catch. I think we were playing way too late. It was getting dark, and I just took one right into the glove and right back into my eye, and it sucked. But you live and learn. So yeah, so he catches the ball with his glove and his face, and we cut to him going inside like in pain, and they set him down, and Bill just slaps a steak on it. He doesn't seem to care too much. He seems very dismissive. He's like, "Yeah, you slap this on there.
You'll be
It'll
fine. And we're done
it'll be
now.
fun."
Thanks.
Well, he apologized. He's like, "Sorry, gotta watch out for the curve."
Yeah.
But he's,
It was his ploy to finish this fast.
I don't think so.
Pro- Probably not.
No, the whole movie, Bill just kind of seems like he's sick of Scotty. Maybe not sick of him, but like,
When's this kid
he,
gonna get friends?
well, not even just that. It's just he's got this whole demeanor of like, I don't really want to be here.
Is that Bill or Dennis Leary coming through?
I think it's Dennis Leary. I don't. Maybe he didn't understand the movie when he signed up for it. Got on set and he's like, they start swearing up a storm like he usually does. Like, no, no, you can't talk like that. It's a family movie. And he goes, it's a what? So then he was just over and done with it. I don't know. Anyway, we cut to later. Scotty's got a nice little black eye, and Benny swings by and says that he's going to the Sandlot and he should come.
Yeah,
And
and his glove is all messed up from
right,
the rigorous game of catch the day.
a few. I think it's the same day. I think it's just
I
like an
think,
hour or two later.
yeah, yeah, but the that glove was not prepared for a ball.
No, it was more like a decorative baseball mitt.
Right.
But yeah, Small says he can't go because his glove's busted, and then he never acknowledges. No one ever acknowledges the black eye.
Nope.
Like they just he's got Smalls has a black eye, and they're just like, cool.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
no one
oh,
cares.
oh, you're here now. You come with a black eye. Got it.
Yeah, that's just Smalls. I guess he learned how to catch.
Yeah. And then, well, and Benny pulls a glove out of his back pocket and says, "Here."
Yeah, no excuses. Here, use my spare glove. And Smalls just lights up, and he's goes in and tells his mom he's gonna go play,
Yeah.
and
Gonna go
just
play. Be back
takes.
later.
Yep, back in the good old days when you could do that.
You just run off and disappear for hours.
Be back before
And,
dark,
and yep. And just hope you don't end up on Unsolved Mysteries.
or a milk carton.
About the same thing.
Yeah. Well, one's national.
Okay.
Milk cartons were local.
True.
But we cut to the. I don't want to say the
Sandlot.
gang. No, the kids. They're hanging out front of the local convenience store, and
Yes.
we get the great Hambino sticking a stick of beef jerky in his mouth and going,
It looked like it was a uh, chewing gum cigar.
"Oh, like a candy chewing gum cigar."
Yeah.
That might be. That's more right. And he sticks it in his mouth and goes, "I'm the great Bambino," and apparently they can't hear him.
Right. It's
And
slightly muffled, but it's like I got that. Especially if you know who the great Bambino is.
right, which they could just be messing with him
That could be too. As
because
as as friends do. What are you saying? We can't
what?
understand
What?
you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. And he gets frustrated and takes that and goes, "I'm the great Bambino." And they're like, like, of
Yeah.
course. And then, good old Smalls chimes in with, "Who's that?"
And they all
Yeah.
look affronted.
They are dumbfounded. And of course, he lies. "Oh, I thought you said the great Bambi."
That wimpy deer.
Which Patrick Renna is an absolute gem
Yeah.
in this movie. He steals every scene that he's in. Every line that he has, he just delivers it so perfectly and steals the scene, and it's so natural and so unintentional.
I was gonna. There's a point later too that comes up where he just takes over, and it's great. And I'll bring it up then.
Yeah, and if I was thinking, since he's so active on social media, I would have reached out and seen if he would have joined us. Because how fun would that have been?
That would have been cool.
I doubt it would have happened, but
Yeah.
he he did join the Boy Meets World podcast and talked about the Sandlot quite a bit, and that was a fun episode.
Yeah, they're a little bit more known than we are. And I'm
A
sure he
little
knows some
bit,
of those guys.
yeah. Well, because he was on Boy Meets World. Anyway, I lost my spot.
The great Bambi.
The
That
Great
wimpy
Bambi.
deer.
Right, right. Okay, so we get the introductions to everybody,
Yeah. Yeah, did you write
and
it down?
no,
Okay.
I went over it in the
You did.
specs.
You did.
So we get the introduction to everybody. As soon as they're mentioned, they spit,
Yep.
and they are not thrilled with Smalls joining their crew.
No,
And we
no,
cut we cut back
because they're remembering him from the day before.
right. And so we cut back to the Sandlot when they're walking up, and Ham is talking with Benny, and he's like, they don't want this kid. They miss the old ninth guy who had moved to Arizona,
Yeah.
and this kid's a square. He's not fit to play baseball. Like, just let him go away and
Right,
just
right.
leave it
And
alone.
very much like the uncles in Secondhand Lions, they call him a weedy.
They do. They're not very nice. And so Benny basically, since he's the leader of the crew, he says, that he says Smalls can play. So everyone needs to stop talking and get into positions because they're gonna start.
Right.
So he
He
hits a
he
hits what?
I was gonna say he even calls out, "Yeah, yeah," for running like a duck.
Yeah, he does.
I don't know why he didn't pick on anybody else, but just called out one of them. He's like,
That's all he needed to make his point.
"Fine, fine. We'll give him a shot."
Yeah. Then he hits a ball, has him turn two. Smalls is impressed, and then we get Smalls throw it to second. Oh, okay. And he hits it to Smalls, and we get a repeat of the day before.
Right, where he runs up to I can never remember that kid's name at the second base.
Well, so first he misses the ball and falls over and screams again.
Well, yeah.
And then he picks it up, and they're like, throw it in. And he like remembers the day before, and then he runs it all the way in to the pitcher, actually, to Kenny.
Oh, yeah.
And
Also
he
who was
starts,
in Mighty Ducks.
oh, yes. And so he's running it in, and Patrick Renna delivers one of his most famous lines from this movie. And it's a close up on him. He's just staring there in awe. I'm going to paraphrase it. And he goes, the heck is he doing? And he sets the glove, or sets the ball in Kenny's glove. Goes, here, sorry. And then runs all the way back out to the outfield. And nobody moves. They just watch this kid.
Yeah.
And
It is
then
awkward.
it's so awkward, but it's so good. And of course, Benny sees this and he's like, well, that's not good. And so he,
Yeah.
and so he's gonna have a little pep talk. So he jogs out there and has a little chat with Scotty.
Right, and Smalls is
And
trying to bail at this point.
oh yeah, Smalls is like, this is a bad idea. I shouldn't have come here. And Benny's like, you got to because I stuck up for you, and you're not gonna make me look like a jerk. So here's how you throw. You ever have a paper route? And Scotty's, oh, I helped a guy once. And you can just see it. You can see it on Benny's face where he's just like, give me something, kid. Come on.
Yeah, it's like, okay, okay, you helped a guy. That's something.
So he basically tells him, like, tuck like you're gonna throw a paper. When your hand gets here, just let go. And then as Benny's jogging away, Scotty goes, how do I catch it? And he goes, well, stick your glove in the air and I'll take care of the rest. But before we
Very
move on, what?
I was just gonna say, very much in the same vein of how he caught the ball from Dennis Leary. Just stick your
Yes.
glove out and it'll come to you.
Yeah. But I did gloss over, we get a little more introduction into Scotty when he's talking to Benny. Benny's like, oh, you think too much. I bet you get straight A's. And he's like, well, no, I got a B once. Well, it was an A minus, but it should have been a B. And only, I guess, eggheads would know that their A should have been a B.
Yeah,
I got a lot of grades all throughout school. I never knew if it was like, oh, that's a, you know, that paper was an A paper or a B paper. Like, what? No, you
yeah,
just do the paper and you cross your
you hope.
fingers and hope. So anyway, Scotty gets a brief lesson on how to catch a baseball and throw a baseball. Now we're going to see how this plays out. Because once again, Benny goes, Smalls, throw it to second, spits on the baseball, and knocks it out to him. But going back, after the first mishap, the rest of the Sandlot kids are suddenly on Smalls' side. They're all defending him, like, why did you do that, Benny? That wasn't cool. When, like, 5 minutes earlier, they were just, like, ripping this kid apart.
Oh, when the ball goes near the fence.
Yeah, when he doesn't catch it and falls over, and they're like, come on, Benny, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, there's one thing of not wanting the kid to play ball with you. There's another thing of sending him near the fence with the big thing that's gonna kill everybody.
Well, they're not talking about sending him to the fence. They're talking, like, him not being able to catch the ball and, like, falling over and embarrassing himself again.
Oh, yeah,
'Cause
maybe.
they're
I
like, come
always,
on,
I always,
Benny.
I always took it as why'd you hit it so far out there? He's got to
No,
go to
it's
the fence line. But
yeah, I think it's no, because they're talking about why'd you do that? I told you, man. He can't catch.
yeah,
He can't play. Like we told you. Like if you're gonna, I kind of like their if they're gonna let him be part of the crew, just kind of let him stand there and take up space.
yeah,
Like
don't hit it that way.
go with the kid's idea of just like let him stand there and just like whatever.
Right, right. Just hit
But
Off to the right instead.
Yeah, I thought it was just an odd turn of like how against this kid they were and picking on him. Not even quietly, like Scotty could obviously overhear them making fun of him and telling him, telling Benny they didn't want him around. And then they
Yeah,
have that quick change to like Benny hits it to him and he falls over and they're like, "Man, why would you do that to him?" Like they're suddenly on his side.
yeah,
Thought that was odd. Anyway, going back now or going forward again, Back to the Future, huh?
yeah, yeah. And we'll touch on that
Or
again in just a minute too, actually.
mhm. Okay, because yeah, Benny spits on the ball, knocks it again, and Scotty does exactly what he's instructed to do and sticks his glove in the air and goes, "Please catch it. Please catch it."
And he closes his eyes as well.
Yes, he does. And Benny, true to his word, apparently hits it directly to his glove, and the kid catches it, and then somehow throws it into second just fine.
Yep. He
Which,
whatever magic Benny has, he gave it to Smalls, and everybody joins Team Smalls right quick too. They're like, "Oh right, he can play. Oh yeah, I do that all the time. We're good."
I mean, that's really all they were looking for. They wanted someone who knew how to play baseball.
Right, right. And to the point earlier, I mean, they were giving him a hard time and razzing him, and that's kind of what they do with each other too.
Right.
But
Yeah,
they didn't think he could play ball, so they didn't want him to play ball, but they weren't specifically trying to be mean to him.
right. Yeah, no, the trash talk is set up very early on in the movie, and I kind of glossed over it earlier, but I mean, and it's phenomenal trash talk. It feels very natural, and it feels like you would expect a group of friends to act with each other.
Right. A group of friends from the early 60s.
Yes, sure. I don't know. I don't think trash talk among friends has changed all that much.
No, probably not.
Kids are kids, and I think it's pretty well consistent throughout each generation. And after Scotty Smalls throws the ball in, we hear more another teaser of the beast behind him. And then we cut to them walking home, and apparently Ham has now taken Scotty under his wing, and they're, he says, "Oh well, I'll teach you more tomorrow." And then he breaks off to go home, and it's just Benny and Smalls. And Smalls is like, "Oh, Benny, your glove." And Benny's, "Oh, keep it." He goes, "Oh, great, thanks." And then Benny runs back and goes, "Hey, do you have a fireplace? Because you should burn that hat," which he's not wrong.
It it's not a cool hat.
It is not a cool hat, but it's his only hat.
Yes, that's what he says. Like, "Oh, it's the only hat I had. It's got a big fish on it, and it's a long, extra long bill."
Yeah, it's a
Uh,
huge bill. But Benny apparently has an old hat just chilling in his back pocket.
yeah, he's got deep pockets.
Yeah, he does. Does he just he just carries a spare mitt and glove with him?
I mean, for someone that lives
Mitt and
baseball as
hat.
much as he does, maybe.
Yeah, I guess it does make sense for his character. Anyway, he pulls a hat out and he goes, "Here, you wear this instead."
Right. Or he was
Oh, he was
planning to pick
preparing.
up preparing for Smalls. He had seen his glove. He was like, "Okay, he can I got a spare
Yeah,
glove, I got a spare hat.
that
I'm
thing's
gonna
gonna
fix
break
this
his
kid."
first catch. Yeah,
Yeah. He also tells him to come to the next day in jeans and a t-shirt
right. Yeah,
and not shorts and a button down.
right. Which is probably better baseball attire. The
Yeah.
jeans and a t-shirt, and then we cut to a very brief scene of Smalls sitting at his desk and he's writing a list of baseball stuff to remember. But all that's on there is the Great Bambino.
He's only been in there one day. He'll pick up more things.
Right. I kind of wish they would have cut back to it.
Yeah. Yeah, they should have showed him adding things to it as he learned things.
Or either that or there was like that was his start and then he just never went back to it because that's a thing kids do also.
Yeah. I'm gonna start a list, or I'm gonna write this, or I'm gonna draw this. And the next thing you know, you're doing something else, and you have a stack of projects that you've never completed.
Finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we cut to the next day and Ham is up to bat.
The great him.
And the great Hambino, the great Patrick Renna himself, phenomenal. He's got the best trash talk in this whole movie, I think.
Yes, yes, he does. He's the Cartman of the group.
Don't do that. He's way cooler than Cartman. He's way more likable than Cartman. He's way smarter than Cartman. He is not the Cartman of this group. There is no Cartman of this group. Cartman has no place in this movie whatsoever.
Okay, okay.
But yeah, he's up there and he swings at just a garbage pitch. And I mean, immediately, he shouldn't have swung, but immediately he's blaming the pitcher and he goes, "What are you throwing up here? This is baseball, not tennis," which is so good.
Yeah.
He's just so clever. And then the next one, he knocks one over the fence. And the whole team is mad at him and they're throwing their gloves at him and they're hitting him as he's running the bases.
Yep.
Because apparently they can't play anymore. And Smalls is like, just over the fence. I'll go get it.
Yeah.
And so he's all set, starts climbing the fence, and Squints notices, and they all start running at him, and they pull him off the fence, and they explain to him that he cannot go get the ball because of the beast, and Smalls has no idea what they're talking about, and so they decide that they need a camp out.
Yes.
That is the solution to him not knowing who the beast is.
Yes. And I'm curious whose house that is.
Right, there is a house next to.
Right, because the house they're in the tree house in one of the kids' backyards, because it wouldn't just be some random person's tree house.
Right, and it wouldn't just be a treehouse at the Sandlot.
Oh, no, but because, I mean, you see later, it's in someone's backyard. Is it
Right.
possibly the not the twins, but the brothers' house?
That could be. I don't think they ever touch on it. There's just it's like
No, I don't think so either, just
it's
one of theirs house. I thought maybe Ham at first, but then I remembered when we were talking about it that he was walking home with,
with Benny
Benny and
and
Smalls
so they live on
that
the other
first night,
side of
so
town.
right, so he wanted to walk there just to come back.
Right. Yeah, so it's one of theirs, but it's like it's set up kind of you got the Sandlot, you got the house, you got the tree house kind of in the back corner, and then you got Mr. Myrtle's house kind of right there. Mr. Myrtle is the guy who owns the beast.
Right,
Spoilers. So it's kind of this tree house in the backyard that overlooks the Sandlot and Mr. Myrtle's house.
right.
And so we cut to all the kids in the treehouse, which how big is that treehouse for all 9 of them to be up there?
It's really big.
Yeah.
It's got 2 stories, there's a nice little patio that wraps around most of it.
Yeah, it is a kid's dream treehouse. I think didn't this inspire us to want to build a treehouse?
Yes, and we
Isn't this
never
why?
did because we didn't have a tree.
No, but we got the tree. This might be why we got the treehouse in Jonathan's yard
Maybe.
because Dusty and Joe built that.
Yeah, I don't think they built it because we watched a movie.
Well, no, but because we asked.
Yeah,
Because Jonathan was also really into baseball on the Sandlot, and so it was like, "Oh, a tree fort, tree fort,"
possibly.
and the dads were like, "We could build a tree fort,"
Yeah,
and they did.
but, I mean, but to the point of why the treehouse was so big too, I mean, if your kid's playing ball with 9 other guy or 8 other guys and they want a treehouse, you build one big enough for all of them.
Yeah, and so we get the famous s'mores scene
Yes.
where Ham asks Smalls if he wants a s'more, and
Some more what?
Eh, that it, that back and forth is played so well that like with kid actors, the bar is never really set too high for their acting abilities. It's more about being able to follow directions, hit your marks, and deliver lines.
Yeah.
But all of these kids, terrific actors.
Yeah, they all did really well.
A great chemistry between them all. But like this scene in specifically is just some more what? I haven't had anything yet, so how can I have some more nothing? And then probably the most famous line from this movie, delivered by the great Patrick Renna, is "You're killing me, Smalls."
Yes, that is by far the most famous line in this movie as it is used everywhere.
Yes. And oh my gosh, it's hysterical. So then we get an explanation on what a s'more
Yes, a
is.
s'more.
And Ham makes one, takes a big old bite out of it, and then hands it to Scotty.
Yeah. It's like, "They're messy, but good, here.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't get my own?" Like, "No, you eat half of mine."
right. Well, and then,
Or I
so
eat half of yours.
Scotty takes a bite of it, and then Squints is getting ready for story time, and then it goes back to all the kids watching, looking up at Squints and Squints' POV from the camera, and Ham has blown out the candles and has a s'more, and Scotty doesn't have a s'more. So so did he just like give him a bite and take it back?
Yes.
And it's like that whole s'more. Like they get there, he makes one s'more, and then it's story time, so he's just done.
Yeah, he's got his s'more.
Yeah,
Everybody else was like, "Hey, you're gonna burn the place down."
yeah, maybe that's fair. You can have uncooked raw s'mores.
Yeah, I mean, he had like 3 candles pressed together that he was roasting the or torching the mallow on.
Yeah, yeah. Let's go back to his explanation of it because he explains to Smalls what it is. He goes, first you take the gram,
Yes.
you put the chocolate on the gram, then you roast the mallow. When the mallow's flaming, you stick it on the chocolate. Then you cover with the other end. That was his explanation. Then you scarf. They're messy, but good. Now to story time with Squints,
Yes. Yes, he's like, "Everybody shut up, I'm talking."
basically. And he gives us the history of the beast.
Yes.
How Mr. Myrtle owned a junkyard, and there were a bunch of thieves that kept coming in and stealing his stuff. So he gets a what?
Oh, just one of the visual things from some of the robbers jump into the junkyard. There's a big skill tool sign, and one of the robbers jumps down and stands in front of the S, so it just says "kill" next to him,
I
or the other one comes down.
didn't see that. I didn't notice it. But yeah, so it's a visual depiction of it's all in black and white and
Right.
kind of old timey. It's very well done. The visual effects they do in this movie are actually pretty good.
Right,
Very
right.
smart.
The flashback, the story flashback, quote unquote, is probably from the mid 30s
Yeah,
because
yeah,
he said his grandfather,
yeah.
um,
Squidman Palladorus.
yeah, the police chief,
Right. So he's telling this story, and
might be his house that the tree house is in.
but they're just camping on this guy's property. No,
No,
so
no,
they have
no.
to.
It might be Squint's house.
Oh, oh, yeah, Squint's house. That would make sense. But anyway, back to the story. Yeah, so he gets a dog for the junkyard, and he feeds him like whole like
Sides of
halves of
beef.
sides of beef,
Yeah.
and like within a couple weeks, he's huge and massive.
Yes.
And
The puppet they made for this dog
it
is huge.
is, and it's not bad for 1993.
No, no. I have no idea what company made it. Henson usually made puppets for almost everything.
Yeah,
But this when Mr. Myrtle's standing next to it, it's like the puppet dog's head is at his head height. It's
right. And has none of the kids actually seen Mr. Myrtle before?
no.
So there's just a legend of Mr. Myrtle.
Yep, just the legend of Mr. Myrtle and his beast of a dog.
So why didn't they just use James Earl Jones?
I don't know.
They
Maybe he was unavailable for the flashback,
maybe.
and
And
since
oh,
it's all the kids' head, they just like, "This is what Mr. Myrtle must look like."
sure, that could be. So yeah, there he's telling the story, and then apparently a bunch of people called it in about the missing thieves.
Yeah, people were calling it saying a bunch of missing thieves are going away. It's like, what people are calling about these missing thieves? Their
It's
parents or
like, oh, I seem to have an abundance of stuff in my yard now.
it's like my husband is missing. What was he doing? He was going to steal stuff from the junkyard. Well, we should look into that.
Yeah, but the beast killed 120, 173 guys.
Yes,
That's a big jump too.
that is a big jump.
But I mean, the great part about this movie is it's so well written
Yes,
because you have kids that are written like kids.
yes,
It's kids delivering lines and acting like kids, but you also have the writing style is very true to how kids are.
right. You don't have them trying to pontificate beyond their age, basically.
Yeah, it doesn't read like adults writing for kids.
No,
It
no, it
feels
does
like
not.
kids just being kids. But anyway, the police chief, Squidman Palidorus, Quince's grandpa, says Mr. Myrtle has to keep the beast underneath the house forever. And you get that repeated.
Yep.
And we come back to present day. Scotty is not having the story, so they tell him to stick his head out the window and look down. And he does. And we get another tease of the beast, and suddenly
Yeah.
Smalls is on board.
Noise, movement of a camera coming up towards Smalls. Like, he's down there.
Yeah, it was a cool shot how they kind of had it come and swoop
Yeah.
in.
I think this is when they also say that the beast ate a kid once,
Yes. Yeah. They're because
which
they're,
they
they're all,
stick with.
they do stick with it, but they come back and they're like, yeah, once the ball goes over the fence, it's the beast, man. No one ever goes over there. And then
Oh,
Ham is
yes.
like, one kid did. He got eaten. I'm like, no, he didn't. He goes, yeah, he did. Which that apparently that's all you need.
Right. Well, because
Is
even the narrator refers to it a few times.
well, he
It's
knew it
like,
to be true
yes.
because when he looked over that fence, he didn't see anyone.
Yeah, yeah. That kid was eaten.
Yep, that's all it takes. So we cut to the next
Whee!
day. What?
This is nothing. You you said we cut to the next day, and I said we for for some
Why?
for some
Unknown reason.
some unknown reason, it just came out.
Cool. So it cuts to the next day,
Yes,
and Squints and Yaya are purchasing a new baseball and arguing over who gets to carry the baseball
right. It's an
when
honor.
we are introduced to Wendy Peppercorn walking by.
Yeah.
And Squints is smitten.
Yes, he is.
You can tell he is absolutely in love with this woman.
Is such the smitten kitten.
Yes. And even Yaya is a little bit taken with her, and then he snaps out of it, and he drags Squints all the way back to the Sandlot.
Right.
To the point of where like they are at the Sandlot and Squints is still trying to go back.
Right. It was like, come on, what are you gonna do?
Right. And so they
She's
get
like
back,
she's the I don't know, probably the high school prom queen or something.
something like that. She's definitely probably popular. She's
Yeah.
also 19 in this movie,
Okay.
and Squints is 12. So there's quite the age gap.
Yeah.
Anyway, they get back to the Sandlot. It is hot. According to
Scorcher.
Squints, it's 150 degrees out. And Benny just wants to play baseball, and all the other kids ain't having it. So they vote, and they vote for the
Right.
pool.
Yeah, Benny's like, who wants to be a wuss and not play? Like, we'll be wusses.
Like, yeah, no, I'm good with that. That's fine. It's hot. And so the pool gets mentioned going swimming, and they all agree. And
Right, because the what the narrator says is the pool is the one activity that Benny would tolerate other than playing baseball.
yeah,
And
and
fun fact about the pool scene is during the shoot. Was this going to be your fun fact?
yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Go
You want to
ahead.
do it?
Nope, go
That
ahead.
that during the shoot, pretty much every day was nice and sunny except pool day, which was overcast. So when the kids are shivering in the pool, they were freezing.
Because it was 56 degrees during the pool scene.
Not 156 like
Yeah, no, it's cold.
yeah.
Like you can see them chattering. Like they're trying, but
But movie got a movie, they were on the schedule, so
it's 42-day film.
get in the
Like
pool.
get in there and get it done. But we get to the pool and Ham is a ladies' man. He is
Yes,
flirtatious.
he is hamming it up.
He very good. I was gonna make that joke, but you
Oh,
beat me to it. So, but yeah, he's doing his thing, and then he does a Hannon ball, a Hammond
yes.
ball, is what he calls it. And then the kids are playing. We find out Wendy Peppercorn is the lifeguard.
Yep.
Quince can't take it anymore. He's gonna do something about it because apparently she's attractive and it bugs him. Or
All he's like he's had this crush for so long, he's like, "I can't take this anymore. I gotta do something."
right, he's finally gonna do something about his crush. So he gets
Yes.
out of the pool and walks to the deep end, and you could tell this boy is cold. He's on the diving board, like huddled up, and like teeth are chattering.
Yeah, yeah. You're looking at it like that's not a warm day.
That is not a warm day at all. But I mean, I accepted it. You know, you get out of the pool, and you're cold.
Yeah. No, I get
Not
it.
not that cold, but you're cold. And they're all the kids are watching Squints going, "What is he doing?" And Ham's like, "I don't know, but that's the deep end, and that kid can't swim." And then
And
he
they're like,
jumps in.
huh.
Yeah.
They just watch him for a second and then he jumps in. Yeah.
Then he jumps in, and then they're like, "Uh-oh." And
Yeah,
so
then they panic.
they panic, and Wendy notices they're panicking, and she doesn't see Squints come back up, but she sees the friends panicking because she's a lifeguard and she's paying attention, and
Right.
so she's not waiting. She jumps right in and pulls him out,
Yeah.
and for some reason she starts CPR
Yeah.
because I mean, he's acting like he's dead.
Right.
So I don't know if he gasped when he jumped in the water and sucked in if he actually sucked in a bunch of water, or if he's just
Never coughs anything up.
he
He's just
doesn't
kind
ever
of
he's just laying there.
just
Anyway,
playing dead. What
she
was it?
decides
Yeah, yeah, says it looks like a dead fish.
he does, but she starts CPR for some reason, and we're gonna go into a scene that it doesn't age well,
Nope.
and the movie did its best to save it.
Yeah.
And I'll touch on that a little bit more, but I want to get through the scene first. And so, yeah, she's doing CPR. They're all panicking. They're like, "Oh, he looks pretty bad. Yeah, he looks like a dead fish." And then we get his eyes open, and he smiles real big. Like she's giving him mouth to mouth. She's putting her ear to his chest. He's got a heartbeat. So is
she's
she just?
she's checking for breath sounds, and I
Oh, he's holding his breath.
yeah.
Okay. So she's trying to his heart's still beating but he's not breathing, so she's trying to get the
Right.
air okay, that makes more sense then. But anyway, he opens his eyes, he smiles, and the whole crew's like they step back and go, "What?" And then the next breath, he makes his move and kisses her.
Yep.
And fun fact, I don't know how fun it is, but when they were when when they were setting up this scene, they're telling him, they go, "Okay, this is what's gonna happen, and then you're gonna kiss her." He's like, "Okay," and then they go, "And you're also gonna keep your tongue in your mouth."
Yeah.
So I don't know if
That's a fact.
that is, I don't, I don't know if that's because the first time they ran through the scene he didn't, or if they were just preemptively saying, "Don't
Maybe
do
just
that."
right. Probably just preemptively. We don't
But
want any issues.
he's also 12, so would he even be thinking that?
Maybe.
And that again, that's where maybe the preemptive come in, like kiss her, but don't do that.
Right.
And so he kisses her. She's mad.
Yes.
She is very mad with good reason, because that's not cool.
Yes. That is not cool. And
Not cool.
she throws him out of the pool.
She does. She stands up, she picks him up, and she throws him out, and she bans him for life.
She bans all of them for life.
All of them. Yeah, they're guilty by default or by
They all
association.
got banned for life from the pool that day.
Yep. So, very wrong.
Yes.
And the movie does a couple things to try to save it ish.
Yeah.
Because first of all, she stands up for herself. No one came in to a rescue or whatnot. She was like, "That was wrong," and she dealt with it very promptly and
Yeah.
assertively and confidently, which awesome.
Yeah.
Then the narration over the top of it with him basically with grown up Scotty basically saying that what he had done was low, and they wouldn't have blamed her at all if she'd have beaten the heck out of him because he deserved it. And what he did was low down. It was sneaky. It was gross. It was wrong. Yeah, he basically confirms that it was none of them were cool with what he did, but a little bit like, but kind of at the end, he's like, it was also cool, which
Yeah.
eh,
As
coming from the
teenage
perspective of a
young
little boy
teenage boys, they were like, I can't believe you
had the guts to do that.
yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes further and he goes, we were banned from the pool, but you know, Squints walked a little taller that day, and every time he walked by the pool, the lifeguard, she would look down from her tower right at Squints and smile. And then it shows her look at Squints, give a little smile, shake her head, and wave at him, which they're trying to play it up to where it's not as bad as it was, I
Yeah,
guess, to
like
make
she
it endearing
respected
to
the
the movie.
move. Not respected the move, but
Kind of liked it,
like
maybe.
nice guts kid. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know exactly how they tried to play it up, but I think spoiler alert for the end of the movie, they end up getting married, which kind of saves the whole thing
Yeah, ish.
ish. Well, cool, because
Anyway,
without that them getting married, you kind of it doesn't.
yeah,
You kind of have to at that point. You have to commit to like that the whole fate thing with them.
okay,
You basically have to Cory and Topanga them in order for it to end up. It's gonna end up being a funny story because they're married.
right, right.
But yeah, doesn't age well.
Yeah,
And if you're listening, don't pretend to drown in a pool just so you can steal a kiss from a girl who's a lifeguard. It's wrong.
yes, it is wrong.
So we cut to the next day.
Nice segue.
I
Yeah,
that's pretty much what they do in the movie. It's the
yep.
next day. It's the 4th of July.
That's the next night.
It's the next. It's tomorrow,
Yeah.
and it's the 4th of July. I think, or it might be a week. Who knows?
It could be later, yeah. Because at this point, if each time we check in with the kids and they're doing something, this is day 4.
Right. So maybe yeah, more days have gone by, and it's because this movie
Like,
takes place, I believe, over the whole summer,
maybe, yeah.
or roughly most of a summer. But anywho, so we got the 4th of July, and it is based. I don't know what the point of the scene really is.
The night
It's
game?
the yeah, they did 2 one-night game because the fireworks lighted up and they're all going to the Sandlot. Ham is getting food
Yeah.
because
It's a cool it's in there because it's a cool scene. It's just another way to show that Benny is all about the baseball and the kids are all getting distracted by the fireworks.
right. And then we cut to the next day and Benny is in a pickle again and scores.
Yes.
'Cause he is just all about challenging himself and getting better at baseball. That's all
Right,
he cares
right.
about.
Because when they brought Smalls on, he says he gets to rotate through 8 positions instead of or 9 positions instead of 8
Right.
now because he can as people come up to bat, he'll go field that position and just train himself on everything.
Right. Every aspect of the field.
Right, right. Because when anybody else is hitting, Benny's in their spot.
Right. Yep. And so we get some local rival kids that show up, and we
Yeah,
get some
the little leaguers.
the little leaguers. Yeah, that's right. The the rich kids, I guess.
I don't know. They're the kids that play on the little league team. The yeah, and they think
Right.
they're better than the other kids because they actually play on a team, or maybe not
Yeah.
even the little league team. Maybe it's the school team or something that they're
Or this.
all
Yeah. Or this. Yeah. Apparently, there's a summer league going on because they're all wearing their baseball uniforms.
training in the off season,
Yeah.
unlike the Mighty Ducks.
Like your third Mighty Ducks reference.
There's 2 kids from the Mighty Ducks in this movie. I got to make a few.
Fair enough. Anyway, so we get some not so great, very childish trash talk, and
Yes, we do.
and the one that makes me laugh every time, and I thought it was a Patrick Brenna line, but it's not. The other kid says it, but it cracks me up when he goes, "You bob for apples in the toilet, and you like it." And it's the "and you like it" that is like the best part.
He's
But
got
this
such a big grin on his face.
he does.
Toilet
They're
apple
doing
grin.
but they're doing a back and forth of I mean, and these are kid insults. These are
Yes.
prepubescent teen, preteen back and forth insults. They're not smart, they're not clever. They're just whatever random filthy thing you can think of.
Right.
And then apparently Ham busts out the closer, the creme de la crop of insults for 1962.
Yes.
Does not age well,
Nope. Yes.
but initiates a challenge,
Yes.
and so they agree that they will have a rival match at noon at the Little League field the next day.
Yeah. They're like, we only play on proper fields. It's to be at our field. It's like,
Sure.
okay.
So we cut to that rival match, and we get some of the best trash talk and what might be Patrick Renna's best moment in this movie.
Yeah, he's the chatty catcher, just trying to throw everybody off their game.
Oh, and he's fantastic.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I love it. His best line, I think, of all the trash talk is when he's like, "If my dog were as ugly as you, I'd shave its backside and make it walk backwards."
That is a good one.
And and he has a couple more that are just great. And his tone and his delivery is perfect. And these kids are clearly rattled by it. And they're like, "Shut up, Porter." And he's
He's
like,
like, I'm
"Hey,
sorry.
hey, just trying to make a little friendly conversation here." But I mean, the way they cut in this too, it's different than any other cut sequence in the rest of the
Yeah,
movie, which I liked. That they kept doing different things all throughout the movie, so it wasn't repetitive.
yeah,
They do a lot of awkward close-ups in this movie. That is one thing where there are a few like weird close-ups, and I'm like, I'm not sure why,
yeah.
but I don't know. Anyway, it's our turn to bat. Our turn meeting the Sandlot crew,
Yes.
and they're clearly better hitters.
Oh yeah, they're hitting it one after the other.
Yep, and it shows. I like that it also shows that the kids are umping the game, umpiring
Yeah.
themselves. There's not an umpire there, and it shows that there is some integrity
Hmm.
because a fight doesn't break out. You know, everyone's calling it fair, and everyone's agreeing.
True. I mean, yeah, it is just a straight up game that the Sandlot kids win.
Yeah, very, very predominantly win, as we find out at the carnival scene coming up.
Oh yeah.
Because when they, yeah, because grown up Scotty's like, we won, we were all on cloud nine because we won that game, and he's like, no, we killed them. It wasn't even close. So they're at the carnival. Apparently, Betty's gonna pay for everybody,
Yeah.
and they're all stoked. And then Bertram pulls out a bag of chew,
Yeah.
and Smalls does not know what it is. Smalls has apparently been living under a rock, and
Yes.
so they all pass around the bag of chewing tobacco, which is actually beef jerky and licorice.
Yes.
However, so when I got into my teen years, as you know, I smoked.
Yes.
I also dabbled with chew. My only experience of chew was this movie. So I get the pinch of the dip.
Yeah.
We didn't do pouches. We did the loose leaf cut, and I pop it in there, and I start chewing it. I mean, I was only like 13 years old. Give me a break, but still, it was. I understood why they got sick. It was gross.
Yeah. Well, and did any of them spit or anything, or are they just sucking
No,
down
they're
this juice?
they're gutting it, which you are not supposed to do.
Uh-uh.
I mean, I know people that do, and but yeah, it's their first time. They're taking huge mouthfuls of this stuff, which way too much nicotine, and then they're swallowing the juice,
Yeah.
which no,
Uh,
yeah, and but come to find out, there's actually leaf tobacco that you do chew like that, that comes in with like actual tobacco leaves in a pouch like that you do bite off and actually chew.
and that's probably more applicable to the 50s and 60s.
Right. I think that's more of what, and that's what they were going for with
Right,
this.
versus the little round dip
Yeah.
pucks that you get nowadays.
Yeah. So I actually tried some of that actual leaf chewing tobacco when I was in my early 20s. A
Yeah.
buddy of mine had some, and I'm like, I always want to try that. I watched The Sandlot. It is gross because they had beef jerky, and so I was expecting it to be the consistency of beef jerky.
Beef.
It is not. If you can imagine a fruit roll up as thick as a fruit snack
Okay.
with the consistency of healthy fruit snacks.
Okay.
It was awful. It was bad. I think I just spit it out right away. I'm like, "Ah, sorry, but I'm not chewing this." Anyway, they decide that they're gonna get a mouthful of chew, and they're going to jump on the spinny ride.
Yes. Yes, they are on one of the big spinny rides at the local carnival.
Fun fact,
Yes.
th some of the kids actually got sick on the ride because they were still chewing the licorice and beef jerky combo.
Why would they make it licorice and beef jerky?
I don't know, but they did. And yeah, some of the kids got sick on the ride because I guess they actually went on the ride.
Yeah. It showed everybody in the seats.
Yep, but the kids got sick and threw up all over the place.
Oh, and you can you can watch them. They're all excited as the first couple go around, and then they all kinda slow down. They get that 100-yard stare,
Yep, and yeah, you watch it in real time happen,
and then
and
some of 'em's just spitting the wad of tobacco out of their mouth, and
Ham's hanging on for dear life.
yeah,
He's gonna get through it,
and they don't. None of
and
them
they
do.
don't. None of them, no, and you
One
wouldn't.
of one of them erupts, they all erupt.
Yeah, and like it would hit you that fast,
Yeah, and it made
and
it poor for everybody on the ride.
yes, because you get people running off, and they're all covered, and it was like pea soup and baked beans
Yeah.
and whatnot. And I think it was a real carnival that they were at too, that they were filming at.
Oh, okay.
And so they had the soup and paint guns, and some bystanders were actually hit with the splatter. But anyway, they get all sick, and then they throw up and they feel better, which no, you wouldn't. You'd have nicotine poisoning and you'd be sick for a long, long time. Cause I've done it. But anyway, we cut to the next day, and Bill is packing up and he is leaving for Chicago for business.
Yes.
And they're just leaving Scotty home alone.
Yeah,
Which I mean,
his mom's like, "I'm gonna take him to the airport."
go have fun, basically.
Yeah, get out of the
I
house.
mean, yeah, because he's 12. He's going into sixth grade,
Yeah,
and in 1962, that was apparently you were old enough and responsible enough to be by yourself.
yeah. 70s as well.
I mean, even
Good
us
good good chunk of the 80s
and
and
90s.
90s.
Yeah. Anyway, so they go to the Sandlot, and if you
That
notice, um, Scotty has a stain on his shirt
yeah,
from the vomit.
yeah, he didn't change
Didn't
or
It didn't all come out.
yeah,
And we get Benny up to bat, and narrator Smalls is talking about an omen, and Benny busts the guts out of a baseball.
yeah, yeah, he hits it, the ball splits apart, and the core is gone, and the little call it the wrapper, but the skin or the
That works. It is, yeah. The ball goes two different directions.
Yes,
Small
yes.
Smalls catches the core, and the outer flap of it is just laying on the ground. And Benny's all mad because they can't play no more, and he wasted the whole day. And Kenny's like, "No, you didn't, man. That's the coolest thing I ever seen in my life." Which he's not wrong.
Yeah, oh, no, all the kids are impressed. Betty just wants to keep playing, but they're like, "Man, that's cool." Like 4 or 5 guys in history's ever done that.
No kidding. Like that's a feat.
Yeah,
And I've seen it happen once in Major League Ball. It happened a few years back.
yeah, cool.
Where it just the right spin on the pitch, the right swing of the bat, hitting the right spot, right on the laces, knocked the top
Yeah,
off, and it just came apart.
cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But apparently Benny can afford to take all of them to the carnival, but he can't afford a buck for a new baseball. In which like a is aren't baseballs like $1 now? Maybe like $3, but like a
They said they
dollar
were
for
90 something cents.
98 cents. Okay, that's a dollar.
Yeah,
But like a dollar for a baseball in 1962 seems a bit much. I'm thinking like a quarter, 50 cents at most.
yeah. See,
Are you looking it up?
I was looking up carnival prices.
Oh, yeah.
Not baseball card, baseball price.
Well, we're gonna go nuts looking that up. Anywho,
Yeah, the first thing that come up, it says It doesn't look like there's much information available about the price of a baseball in 1962.
Yeah, the first thing that came up for me was the cost of a Babe Ruth baseball in 1962.
That was the
So
next search from us.
yeah, so if you know how much a baseball cost in 1962 and it's less than a buck, let us know. I think it is. I think it's about a quarter to 50 cents. That would be my guess. Cause a dollar, cause let's see, a dollar for a baseball in 1962 sounds like a lot. Wow. Yeah, cause you can get a baseball right now at Walmart for 2.97.
Okay.
I mean, they have, yeah, and
And
here's
and the minimum wage in 1962 was $1.15 an hour.
right. So a dollar for a baseball is, I'd say a quarter for a baseball
Yeah.
in 1962. That seems reasonable. Because yeah, you got baseballs here for like a couple bucks. So I can't imagine in 1962 they would be a dollar. But we spent a lot of time on that. Anywho, so yeah,
Yeah. Benny's bummed they can't play anymore. Everybody else just thinks it's cool.
right. And then
And
Smalls is like, well,
Smalls.
we can still play. I got a ball. And they're like, go get it. And so Scotty goes home and decides he's going to steal the Babe Ruth ball and go play with it.
Right. Not the ball he was playing catch with Bill earlier in the movie. The one that's up on the mantle in Bill's office.
Yes.
Not the one with the glove in the garage, but
Right. Well, I guess we're going to assume that they already used that ball.
possibly. I mean, unless Bill has his glove and ball just in his desk drawer or something, because this kid doesn't play ball, or at least he didn't until recently, and they haven't.
Right.
And I mean, and Smalls is like, well, I've never seen the ball in the house except that one.
Yeah, and I mean, these kids have parents. Hey, mom, can I have a buck for a baseball? That's an
Yeah.
hour's wage. I mean,
Or hey mom, where's that ball I was playing with Bill with?
sure, anything. You
To
got
not.
9 kids, and you got you got 9 kids, and therefore estimating 9 sets of parents. They can't come up with a buck between the two of them to keep the kids busy. We lost our baseball. No, well, here's a dollar. Go get a new one.
They only get in trouble when they lose their balls.
Yeah, apparently. You're grounded. Oh no.
They need baseballs.
So we cut back to the Sandlot, which okay, I pointed this out last night because he grabs the baseball and screams, "I got it!" And then it cuts to him running down the Sandlot, going, "I got it, Ice! I got it! I got it!"
Yeah.
So did he like scream, "I got it" as soon as he grabbed the baseball, and then "I got it" as he was running all the way from home to the Sandlot?
I don't know. Was his mom back by then from taking Bill to the airport, or was he just being weird because she could come in at any point?
I don't know,
Okay.
and I'm assuming that Bill is still at the airport,
Yeah. Well,
and
yeah.
she's
Bill's
still
Bill's still at the airport.
not Bill, but she's still gone. Because if she
Yeah.
was home, he wouldn't have taken the ball because she would notice the ball is not there.
Right.
And Bill is at the airport and did not take the ball with him.
True. Okay.
So she's still gone.
Anyway. Yeah. And Smalls shows up with the ball.
Yes. So his ball, his bat. And yeah, so he knocks a homer. Because of course he
Yeah.
does. He knocks it over the fence. And
Right into Mr. Molo's yard.
yep, and first he's happy because he got a good hit, and then he sees it go over the fence, and he played it great too. Just that break moment of oh no,
Yeah.
it's over, and then we get another great delivery from Patrick Renna
Yeah. Yeah.
because Smalls hits second and just keeps going to the outfield, staring at the fence, and Ham comes up and he goes, "Smalls, you forgot to turn. You go to third base." The heck is he doing?
They're like, I don't know. Maybe the shock of his first homer was just too much for him.
And yeah, Small starts saying we got to get that ball back, and they all laugh at him, and he goes, "No, you don't understand. It wasn't my ball. It was my stepdad. Some lady signed it for him." And this is where we get the reveal that he has no idea who Babe Ruth is.
No, he does not.
And so yeah, they're like, "Who signed it?" And he goes, "Someone named Ruth, Baby Ruth." And they're like, "What?" Which they held the baseball. Did nobody look at it and be like, dude?"
Yeah, yeah. Well, and Ham's just like, what?
Yeah,
What? What?
just so I don't even know the word for it, but he's so great.
And they're,
And
they're
oh,
all It,
That's just dumbfounded that this kid has no idea who Babe Ruth is.
yeah, well, and he's like, well, yeah, who is she? Who is Babe Ruth? And they go through the list of Babe Ruth's nicknames again until they get to Ham, who's says the Great Bambino, and then it clicks.
Yeah, yeah, man, that's the same guy.
And then he starts feeling woozy.
Yeah, give him some air. They all start fanning him. And Benny, and then Benny chimes in with, "That ball you just hazed to the beast is worth, well, more than your whole life."
Yeah.
And so then they get the great idea that they're gonna get the ball back, but first they're going to buy a ball and forge Babe Ruth's signature on it so that Bill doesn't know. Which, why didn't they just get the new ball in the first place?
It's a lot of work to track down a dollar,
They
but now
did. They
they're
could,
but now their buddy's in trouble, so they're doing it anyway.
I guess, but it would have given them something to do. They didn't have
Right,
baseball to
right. Well,
play.
I mean, when they first decided to do this, he's like, "Okay, when's he get home? What time does he get home from work?" He's like, "He's out of town. But he can be back whenever." It's like, "Okay, we got some time now. Let's do this."
Right. And so they succeed, they get the ball. Benny signs it, spells Babe Ruth wrong.
Baby Ruthie.
He spells Babe right, but he puts an E on the end of Ruth, which
He's like, "It doesn't have to."
I never
He's
noticed
like,
until this watch,
"Yeah." He's like, "It doesn't have to be right. It just has to convince somebody."
which it doesn't. The ball is much cleaner than the other one. There's so much wrong with it.
They're 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 12-year-olds. They got 12-year-old logic.
Yep. And so we cut to Scotty putting the ball back. And just as he sets it up there, Mom walks in
Yep.
and starts talking to him. "Oh, did Bill ever tell you about that ball?" And this kid is beyond guilty. No poker face, no chill whatsoever.
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't know anything about that ball.
Yeah. No, he hasn't told me anything. I don't know. But his mom knew who Babe Ruth was, and that was surprising to him
Yes.
because apparently moms don't know anything about baseball.
Nope. But yeah, she tells him that Babe Ruth signed the ball and his dad gave it to him, and that maybe one day he'll give it to Smalls.
Yeah. And just pouring salt in an open wound.
Yeah.
And so we cut back to the treehouse, and they're brainstorming. And Smalls is like, "Well, why don't we just go knock on the door and ask Mr. Myrtle to get it?" And Squints immediately shuts that down because Mr. Myrtle's the meanest old man who ever lived,
Yeah.
which no
Yeah.
one's met.
Right. There's a good chance that it's Squints's house and treehouse.
Yeah, which would explain why they trusted his judgment of like, "Oh yeah, well he lives right next to the guy, he would
Yeah.
know."
Exactly.
But now we come to idea time.
Yes.
And this is great. I mean, this isn't a montage, but it's kind of even really a rapid fire of ideas. But we're gonna go that way,
Yeah.
cause so step one. I mean, even it says our ideas were primitive at first, and they literally take off the bottom board of the fence, and they got a really long stick,
Yep.
which the beast sees, grabs, bites, and foils that
Oh,
time.
that scene didn't used to bug me, but it always used to make me cringe because they're holding the stick, and it still makes me do it. Like, man, if that stick gets ripped out of the hand, the slivers, it just
Oh, I didn't even think of that.
yeah. But the dog chews the stick in
Choose
half basically, and
Yep. And then we cut to round two, which is a pot on the end of, is it a rector set?
yeah, yeah, a bunch of erector set pieces together, and this one makes me cringe too.
Because it's metal now, and that can cut their hands open.
Yeah, well, and the noise that it makes when it gets dragged into the yard, like the sword coming out of the sheath, just shing.
Yeah. So we have failure number two. And now we get creative, and we have three vacuums and a catcher's mask.
Yes, they have.
And they have fabricated a suction.
Yeah, well, so they it they had no qualms about taking 3 vacuums from one of their from their homes collectively,
Yes.
piecing this thing together.
Right. No, it was a good idea.
Yeah. They splice the hoses together, hook all connector pieces together and have the catcher's mask as the suction
Right.
ball catcher thing.
Yeah. And so they I love this part when instead of just saying, "Hey, turn on a vacuum," it's firing suction component number one.
Yeah,
And it goes through a chain of like six of them. So we get to
there's three.
see the level.
There's 3.
It's one, two, three, four. Goes to the fourth.
Okay.
Because Bertram is like firing suction component number one. So they're the communication is on point for this. Anyway, they fire all three vacuums. Success. They get the ball.
Yeah.
They're pulling it up. The beast comes out and pinches it.
Yes.
So they can't turn off the vacuums. So they're just going and building up pressure.
Yeah, they just panic.
They panic. Everyone abandons ship. Poor Timmy doesn't make it out.
No. No, he does not.
And the vacuums explode. So it shows everybody
Oh,
standing.
I mean, they explode. You want the treehouse lights up, smoke and
Oh,
fire
yeah.
out of the windows.
Sure. And that kid's still in there.
He comes
I'm-
walking down the
he goes
stairs.
walking out just covered. And they're all like, everyone's just standing there watching in disbelief. Then
He's
we get like,
covered in dust.
he's, he shakes and it all flies off and doesn't really do much. And we get a very stoic moment from him where he's just like, "We've been coming at this all wrong, and I blame myself. We need a surprise attack." And then he just sighs and walks away. Like
Yeah,
I didn't realize this kid in particular was so invested.
leaves the brains of the team.
Yeah. So their surprise attack is dropping Yaya over the fence with a rope and pulley system.
Yeah, they've got an extension ladder hanging over the edge, like it's strapped to the roof of the treehouse, or I don't know how they secured it up there, but it's
Maybe it's
sticking
just
out.
laying between two branches. It's probably the more likely situation. But they got Ham running the it's like a big wheel.
I don't even think it's that. I think they pulled uh, pedal system off a bike and attached it to a spool that they had the hose
Right.
rifling through. But
Yeah,
it
it's
looked kind of like a
essentially it looked like a big wheel. And so yeah, they hoist Yaya up and they're dropping him down. They have the Ham running the wheel, and then they have a
yep,
second rope for control or whatnot. They drop Yaya down. He gets the ball. He looks up and he's face to face with the beast. He screams. They yank him up. He drops the ball in the process.
yeah,
Which, if he doesn't drop the ball, they've won.
yes.
But he comes over the fence. He's going nuts.
It's like wee, 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 wee.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that because yeah, but he's doing all kinds of wacky stuff, and they get to a point of where this is his last chance, and so Smalls is breaking out the big guns, and he's using every single piece of erector set that he's got. And I thought this was so cool, but
Yeah.
thinking back in 1962, there is no way they could have actually done this.
No, they could have.
They had remote controls.
There was wires on it.
The
He
wires were
the
that
wires
long.
went yeah, the wires went down and connected to the little vehicle. They were coming down the little ramp. That's why he would just they had the 3 levers, forward, backward, and scoop.
Okay. So yeah, he gets the ball in the catapult on the little Rector set car. The beast comes out. Quincy yells fire, and they launch the ball,
Yeah.
and it's coming over the fence,
Yeah, Benny's
and
got his
then
glove. He's like, "Okay, let's do this. I see it. Here it comes."
and then you see the beast jump up from over the fence, and the ball fly into his mouth from a completely different angle than it would have been.
Well, it's a big dog puppet too, so it's this massive head that just kind of oh.
Yep. I think there's even that sound effect. Anyway, and then you see the car fly up, destroyed, and
Yeah,
he
yeah, that's
destroys the track, and Smalls loses all of his erector set, which he's gonna have to explain that one,
yeah,
but I digress. So we cut to that night. Smalls has a dream that he gets pounded into the ground like a railroad spike by a baseball signed by Babe Ruth, and then we cut to Benny's dream.
yeah.
Um,
Benny has a very different type of dream.
Yep, where Babe Ruth comes out of his closet. Babe Ruth being played by the great Art LaFleur.
Yeah,
Well, what?
I don't know.
Okay. And so every time I saw Art LaFleur, being the first time I ever saw Art LaFleur as Babe Ruth, every time I saw him in anything else, all I saw was Babe Ruth.
Like, hey, it's Babe Ruth and Maverick.
Yeah, basically. That is accurate.
That's fair.
And so Babe Ruth sits down and he has a heart to heart with Benny. And he's walking out, you see him grab a baseball card and he kind of looks at it while he's talking to Benny. And he's telling him, people, you only get one shot in your life to do something great, and most people don't take that shot.
Yeah. Well,
And
and gonna say the card that he takes, it's a
yes,
Hank Aaron card.
yes, it is.
Do you have a fun fact about this?
I do.
Okay. Well then, there you go.
I was gonna wait till we got to that part.
Okay, you just kind of glossed over the card, but
Well, because he grabs the card and he looks at it and he picks it up and looks at it and he kind of sits down and he's holding it
okay.
while he's talking to Benny. And basically the advice he gives them is like, you only get one shot in life to do something great, and most people don't take theirs, so don't let yours pass you by. And Benny explains the situation, and Babe Ruth's like, just hop over the fence and go get it. And then as he's leaving, he looks at the card and he goes, he says Henry Aaron instead
Yeah.
of Hank Aaron. But he goes, I don't know why, kid, but can I keep this? And he says, sure, which, really? But do you want to give the fun fact about Hank Aaron?
No, you can give the fun fact.
So he grabs the Hank Aaron is a baseball player who would eventually go on to beat Babe Ruth's home run record.
Yes.
That's what makes it funny.
And growing up as a kid, I had no idea.
Yeah, no clue whatsoever.
You're like, uh-huh. Okay, he takes his card, whatever. That's
Oh, he stole his card. I guess I don't know.
yeah. I mean, he asked, I guess.
Yeah, he did ask. And, sure.
I
I mean,
mean,
I
but
guess he did know it was a dream.
if Babe Ruth walks out of your closet, gives you advice, and asks for a baseball card, yeah, give him the card.
Yeah, yeah. Sure. I mean, I guess at the time he didn't know how big Hank Aaron was going to be.
True.
Anyway, so the Babe leaves, and the next day, Benny knocks on Smalls' window and says, I had a dream. Let's go to the Sandlot. So it's early. It's like probably like 6 or 7 in the morning
Yeah.
because he wakes Scotty up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
He's still a jam.
he,
In his
howdy
jammies.
doody
He's like, get
pajamas.
dressed out of here. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they all meet at the Sandlot, and Benny's just like, okay, this is what we're doing. He gets his PF Flyers, slaps on his PF Flyers, which are
Yep.
just glorified Converse.
They're black too. They're nice and sleek. He's the only one that wears the black ones with the black soles in the movie.
Yeah. But I had a pair of PF Flyers. They sucked. I mean, they were not comfortable. They were
Yeah,
not good
they're,
shoes.
they're yeah, okay.
I mean, they were legit PF Flyers and everything. And I like never wore them because they were so uncomfortable.
If anybody from PF Flyers is listening, we're sorry.
I'm not even sorry. I was very disappointed in the shoes.
I think you wanted them because of this movie.
I did. Well, because first I got the black on black Converse because they looked like PF Flyers.
Yeah.
And then I actually found a pair of PF Flyers when I was like, I forget how old I was. But yeah, I'd ordered a pair of PF Flyers and I wore them a little bit, but they were just, yeah, weren't worth it. Anyway, Small says that Benny doesn't have to do this, and Benny's like, yeah, I do. And that's pretty much all the convincing that it takes for them to be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it may be Smalls' problem, but Benny's taking it on. He's like, no, I gotta face this for you, or I gotta
Um,
face this for me.
yeah. And so we get, this is a long scene, so I'm going to get through it quick.
Okay.
Because he jumps over the fence, he grabs the baseball, the beast comes out, Benny jumps back over the fence, he's made it. The beast
Yes.
breaks his chain, jumps over the fence as well. Benny says, oh no, takes off running. The beast is right behind him.
Yeah.
And so Benny's running away from a dog. And throughout this entire running scene, he is just an inconsiderate jerk.
Yes.
'Cause
He didn't have to run in some of the places that he was running.
So he runs down an alley and knocks over every single garbage can, which
Yeah.
later, when the rest of the crew is running through there, you see the garbage man, and he's actually at the end of the alley looking down there, just shaking his head, because now he's got to clean all this up. They're apparently playing a movie at the school, at a school or a rec center or something.
Yeah, they're playing the Wolfman.
The Wolfman, yes. And he comes through the back, slides under the projector screen, and the dog jumps through it. Ruins the movie for everybody.
Yes.
There's apparently a big old
Founder's
picnic,
Day.
Founder's Day barbecue
Yep.
going on, and instead of just running through it, he decides to run over top of tables
Yeah.
and through people's food and drink and whatnot. He does dodge the cake.
Yes. Those poor bakers.
Yeah, I feel so bad. It's a glorious cake, and
It
ham.
is like it is a huge 6-tier,
It's big.
6-foot cake.
Yeah, it is massive, and they manage to set it down on the table without knocking it over. And when Ham runs by, if he of course takes a big old swipe with his finger, because
Yep.
I mean, why
Why
wouldn't
not?
you? And then the guy on stilts falls and launches the cake up in the air, and it splatters over the chefs. And the one chef is looking at the other like it's his fault.
Yeah.
He's kind of glaring at him like, "Look what you did," and it's like, dude,
Look
no
what you
one
did, you
could have.
little jerk.
Sure, but I don't think anyone could have predicted a dog chase destroying the cake. Like,
No, no, a
give
dog
the guy a
chased
break.
the rest of the baseball team.
Right. So anyway, they're running through. Benny says, "Sandlot, Sandlot, back at the Sandlot." So the kids all run back to the Sandlot. They don't
Right.
see Benny.
Squints is like,
Finally,
"Shortcut, go."
yeah, he takes a shortcut, and they're like, "Oh, Benny didn't beat us here. Like, you took the shortcut."
Yeah, but Benny's fast.
Benny is fast, but Benny's also been running for a long time. So Smalls sees Benny coming around the corner. There he is, and the beast is right behind him, and Benny is just running out of juice at this point. And
Yeah.
he gets back to the Sandlot, and he hurdles the fence again. And I don't know why he jumps to land directly on his back. He
I
does
is
like
it
a
front
front
flip?
flip and lands directly on his back on the ground, and it looks like it hurts.
Yeah. Yeah, why did they
I don't know.
yeah, besides that, I mean, kids being kids, but instead of telling them to go to the Sandlot, say, "Go to your house and open the front door." I'm just gonna run in and slam it.
Yeah. Or why didn't he run up into the treehouse?
Yeah. Although there's stairs on the treehouse.
Dog would have gotten up. Fair enough.
Yeah.
So
But anyway,
uh,
Benny's on his back.
Benny's on his back. He gets up, and the dog runs through the fence, which causes the fence to fall over
Yeah,
onto
yeah.
him,
No,
onto the
the
beast.
dog's not gonna try and jump the fence again. He's tired.
He's been running a long time too.
He's just gonna Kool-Aid man it.
Yeah. So yeah, the fence falls on the beast, and Smalls is immediately going there to um, lift the fence off of him, and no one else wants to help. And Smalls turns to Benny and says, "Help! He's hurt."
Right.
So
It's
they
like, I
pick
know
up.
this was just a big old deal, but the dog's hurt. Come on.
Yeah. So Benny helps. They get the thing up. The dog comes out, and they the dog likes Smalls now.
Yep, yep.
And
Everybody's frozen because the dog's right there by Small's face, just
yeah,
panting,
yeah.
and then he licks him.
Right. Fun fact, they had it at that angle because the opposite side of Smalls' face was covered in peanut butter, so the dog would actually lick him
Ah.
because they couldn't get the dog to do it before.
Like, come on, just be a dog and lick his face. This looks like nope.
So then we cut to them knocking on Mr. Myrtle's door, and Mr. Myrtle comes out, who is
Oh,
played by what?
before they knock on Mr. Muller's door, the dog goes around the
Oh yeah,
kind of shows him his little baseball collection.
yeah, and shows all the baseballs that have gone over the fence, which they did
Yeah,
a
there's
really
like
good job about because they have some that are like obviously really old and dirty and have been chewed on, and you have some that are like pretty new.
right, right.
Whereas, yeah, I feel like they could have just easily phoned it in and just done a bunch of old balls, but they had a good variety up there, so it actually looked legitimate.
Yeah,
Like
they
I
did
think it.
good job with the aging. And I mean, the one that Ham knocked in there the other day was one of the bright ones, probably. And
Yep. So anyway, now we're at Mr. Myrtle's door. Mr. Myrtle comes out, answers the door, and he is played by the great James Earl Jones.
yes,
and it
He's
turns
blind.
out he's blind.
Yeah.
And they explain that they brought the dog back. And he's like, "So you guys are the ones causing all that racket."
Yeah.
And Smalls explains, well, actually, Smalls starts to explain, and then Benny interrupts and explains what happened. And Mr. Myrtle's like, "Why don't you just knock on the door? I'd have gotten it for you." To which
Then
they all take it out on Squints.
yeah, they take their
And,
hats off and start hitting Squints. We told you we could have just done that.
and
He's
Squints is
like, well,
like,
we got the
"Hey,
ball
we
back.
got the ball back." And it's like, "Yeah, but we almost got killed." It kept him busy, sure.
Yeah.
And then Mr. Myrtle laughs. So it seems like he's a nice guy. And then he invites the boys in, and Smalls and Benny go in.
Yeah. The other boys are like, nah, we're staying out here.
Yeah. And so Mr. Myrtle's like, "Well, tell me about this baseball." And Smalls tells him, "Oh, it's signed by Babe Ruth." And he goes,
Right,
"George
because
signed this?"
yeah, yeah.
He's
But
like,
no,
"Yeah,
he's holding the ball. He's like, you're in trouble, aren't you?
yeah. Oh yeah, he knows. He might be blind, but he ain't dumb."
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, "Yeah, George signed this?" And he's like, "Yeah, yes, sir, George Herman Ruth." He goes, "I take that back. You're not in trouble. You're dead where you stand."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
And showing that Smalls learned a bit about Babe Ruth from
yep,
in the last couple days.
yep. And so Mr. Myrtle gets up and he goes over to his own baseball collection or a little case over and grabs a ball out of there and goes, here, kid, I'll trade you." And Benny's like, "Well, no offense, sir, but that baseball really is signed by Babe Ruth." And Mr. Myrtle's like, "Well, so is this one and the rest of the 1927 Yankees." And um, you could
Benny is
Benny understands what he said. I'm not sure Smalls does, but he looks at it and he goes, "Oh, there's Lou Gehrig."
yeah.
And he says another name, and I don't remember who he said, and I didn't write it down because I thought I would remember, but I don't, so I'm sorry. And they say they can't accept it. Benny says they can't accept it, but like Smalls is the one in trouble here.
Right, but Benny understands what that ball is worth.
Sure, and he goes, "Yeah, we
He's
can't
like, "No,
accept
no,
this."
that you can't accept that. I'll just let my friend die. That's okay."
Yeah, that's this is worth way more than his life. And Mr. Myrtle's like, "Hey, look around. I got stuff. All I have is stuff. I have a bunch of nice stuff."
Like, "Yeah, I got a lot of good stuff over there. Look at that."
And he goes, "Yeah, he's he, he's an old man, you know. He's looking to help a kid out." And then he says, "I'll tell you what."
Well, he points over and says, Go look at that stuff over there." And Smalls sees the picture.
Right.
He's like, you knew Babe Ruth."
He goes, "Oh yeah." And he says, he keeps calling him George, like correcting him, like, "We get it. You knew him."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Oh yeah, I would have beat his record too, but I used to crowd the plate, make the strike zone disappear. Pitchers hate that. But one day, I find out he caught a fastball up and in, took one to the face, and knocked the lights out for him.
Yep.
That ended his baseball career." Um, Fun fact: James Earl Jones was also a baseball enthusiast in Field of Dreams.
Yes. And another fun fact, James Earl Jones does not like baseball.
Not at all. That was my next fun fact.
Art LaFleur was in Field of Dreams too.
Yes, he was. I was not going to mention that as a fun fact, so I'm glad you did. But Mr. Myrtle makes
But
a deal with the kids. What?
I was gonna say, but you believe James Earl Jones loves baseball in this movie.
You do. You do. It's almost like he's an actor.
Exactly.
So Mr. Myrtle makes a deal. He goes, "I'll tell you what, you boys come back once a week and talk baseball with me, and we'll call it a fair trade." And so they call a deal.
Smalls is like, yes, please.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And then we cut to Smalls giving the ball to Bill, and it reveals that because he got the new ball, he was only grounded for 2 weeks instead of the rest of his life.
Right.
And then
Right. He
it,
wasn't happy about the Babe Ruth ball, but he loved the murderer's row ball.
yeah, and then if you, it shows his Bill's baseball collection again, and you see the new baseball, you see the old chewed up baseball, and you see the faked baseball.
Yeah.
Up there. He's got them all out on display, which I thought was cute that he kept the ones
Yeah.
that the kids did.
Yeah. Yeah.
We go to them back playing baseball at the Sandlot, except they got a jersey for the dog
whose name
that
is
says
Hercules.
his name is Hercules, and then
And
and
I was gonna say, the narrator's like, it's funny that the dog's name was Hercules when the guys had said that Babe Ruth's like the Hercules of baseball.
yeah,
It's like, is it? Mr. Myrtle was friends with Babe Ruth and probably liked the name and
yeah. I mean, the kids, I guess.
one of his many nicknames.
Oh,
But yeah,
I forgot to mention that during the dream scene when Benny's like, "You're Babe Ruth. You're the Salt and the." He goes, "Yeah, yeah, a bunch of stupid nicknames."
yeah,
Thought that was funny. I thought I remember it too, but I didn't. Anyway, so they're it shows them playing baseball back at the Sandlot, and he's talking about how they'd get together and they'd play at the Sandlot every summer, mostly up through middle school. No summer was ever as good as that first one, but after middle school, people started moving away
as one does.
as life happens. Um, and he goes around kind of around the horn. Everyone throws the ball to someone, and then they disappear. We find out, yeah, got shipped off to military school, and then after he got out of the army, he became a pioneer of bungee jumping. I mean,
Yeah,
Bertram, well, Bertram got really into the '60s, and nobody ever saw him again. And
yeah,
And fun fact, in 2019, Disney Plus was in talks and in development with the original cast of The Sandlot, and they were going to do a revival TV show of the original cast looking for Bertram.
interesting.
And they were working on that project, and due to the writer's strike in 2023, that project was ultimately canceled,
Oh,
which is too bad, but that was actually going to be a show, was the search for Bertram.
interesting. That might have been cool.
I thought that would have been cool. Anyway, then we go to Timmy and Tommy Timmons, who became an architect and a contractor and started doing kids' playground equipment and eventually invented the mini mall.
Yes.
And then they reveal Squints marries Wendy Peppercorn. They have 9 kids, and they bought Vincent's drugstore, which is the place they were hanging out at, I'm sure. And they
Yeah.
still own it to this day.
So Squints never moved away.
No. No, Squints is even in the second or third Sandlot
Okay.
as Squints again.
He's a townie and always will be.
Yep. Him and Wendy. Hamilton Porter, the great Hambino, becomes a professional wrestler. And like I've been calling him the great Hambino throughout all of this, but it's at this point where we reveal that his professional wrestler name is the great Hambino, and I believe it's the only time that it comes up in the movie.
It might be. I thought they mentioned it earlier on, but
No, because that was when he was doing the great Bambino.
yeah.
They reveal Kenny, he played AAA ball. He never made it to the majors. He owns his own company and coaches a little league team for his kid, and they're called the Heaters after his famous pitch
Yeah.
or his signature pitch, which I never mentioned. We find out Hercules lived to be 199 in dog years,
Yep.
and then we go back to present day where Smalls is the announcer, and Benny the Jet Rodriguez is apparently playing for the LA Dodgers, and he is pinch hitting,
Yep.
and he is on third base. Apparently, they say that he's not as fast as he used to be, but Smalls isn't counting him out, and he steals home
Yep.
and is safe. And there's a huge
Woo!
celebration. They, I guess, win the game or whatnot.
Yeah. And
And
the I was gonna say the guy that plays older Benny is younger Benny's brother.
yes, he is. Thanks for taking my fun fact.
Oh, you're welcome.
I was going to segue into it a little better because I was like, I was watching this, and all the time growing up, I thought, man, they did a really good job picking an actor, an older actor that looks, a lot like the real Benny from the
Yeah.
kid version of Benny, and that's why. So yeah, he scores and wins the game. They get the thumbs up. He's got an awesome mustache. It's the older brother of Mike Vitar.
Yeah.
His name's Pablo Vitar.
Yep.
And then we get a close up of the picture of the gang all together, and we roll credits on top of it.
And it also shows that Small has the three baseballs too.
Oh yes, I
Now.
missed that part.
Yep.
He
He's
does,
got the Babe Ruth one, and he's got all three that Bill had up in as well.
and hopefully Bill just passed him along and is still alive.
Right. When Small's got the job announcing, is Bill's like, here, put these in your little booth, and
Yeah.
I got a lot of good
And
stuff. You you
and we
you
also
introduced me to Mr. Myrtle and
yeah, and yeah, maybe they inherited all of Mr. Myrtle stuff. I don't know.
I don't know, but I mean, there was no chance that Bill didn't go talk to Mr. Myrtle after
No,
finding out how he got the ball and
right? No,
everything.
yeah, especially being a baseball nut like he is,
Right.
apparently, which we has never really touched on, but much.
Yeah, I mean, he knows how to play. He's got a couple cool things in the Babe Ruth ball, but he got the Babe Ruth ball from his dad.
Right. So, but
But it's the American pastime, right?
right, it is. It's America's favorite pastime,
Right.
and we also see that Smalls is wearing his fishing hat that he was supposed to
Yes.
have burned,
Yes, he did not burn it. He just kind of stuck it in a box, apparently.
and now he wears it, which makes me think that like it was his dad's hat,
Probably. That makes a
and
lot of sense.
it was like the only thing of his dad that he had.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, we roll credits, and that was The Sandlot.
That is such a fun movie. I loved it growing up and I still love it. I hadn't seen it in ages, but it is definitely one I'll be watching again.
Yeah, and it totally holds up. It keeps the same magic that it had when we were kids.
Yes. Yes, it does.
And that's what I mean when I say it totally holds up. Granted, there are a couple parts in it that don't hold up,
Right.
and that probably weren't even great when the movie came out.
Right. But it's a look at the time, a look at the it's not great, but things happen.
Yeah, it's kind of like when people say like with Friends, how Friends hasn't aged well. A lot of things in Friends didn't age well,
Yeah.
and like Lisa Kudrow said, that while that is true, you can't. You have to look at Friends as more of a time capsule
Right,
because
which you
that's
have
what
to
it
do with a
is.
lot of media. You have to do that with a lot of media.
You
It's
do.
like, yes, this was bad, it didn't age well, it was of the time, it's a way to look back and see how things were.
And how far we've come.
Yeah,
Because, yeah, I mean, but yeah, solid movie. We had a lot of fun watching it again. Can't wait to start watching it with Finley when he gets a little bit older.
yeah,
Uh,
that'd be fun.
it will be. Final thoughts?
I think I just gave my final thoughts. I don't have anything else to touch on. Um, went over all my fun facts.
Yeah, I think I got all mine in there.
Yeah,
I mean, it was
solid.
pretty clear from the beginning that we loved this movie. This was going to be something we were both looking forward to, and it was going to be a lot of fun. So, final thoughts, I guess, aren't really.
Yeah, solid movie, still enjoyable. Will continue to watch it. Few things that I noticed as an adult that I didn't notice earlier on that we discussed throughout the review. The why did he grab that ball instead of the one they were using before?
And which comes back to our catchphrase, "Movie's got a movie."
True, very true.
There are certain things in movies that you just have to accept because it moves the plot forward.
Right, right. Well, and at the same time, kids think a little bit differently. Sometimes you take a important ball off a mantelpiece. Sometimes you steal a flying car. It's the look on your face. Sorry, but
I tried to get there with stealing the flying car. Back to the Future 2?
no, no, no. Harry Potter.
Oh, I haven't seen any of the Harry Potter. I think I've seen one of the Harry Potters.
Yeah. Anyway, just poor decisions by kids because it's either cool, convenient, or they just weren't thinking.
Panicked.
Yeah, but
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, so that wraps up our final thoughts.
yeah,
So
I don't think I have anything else to touch on the movie.
no, I think we're
There
good
were two
there.
there were 2 sequels, which I haven't seen,
I have
but
not either.
Sandlot 2 and Sandlot something else.
Yeah, I had it and I forgot it.
Home for the Holidays or I don't know.
It's not a holiday movie,
Oh, okay.
but
And this is a lot of people consider this a 4th of July movie, and a lot of people watch it around
okay, so that would be when I read a fact on it. It said Kobe Bryant used to watch this every 4th of July.
yeah, I mean, it's a summer movie that features 4th of July, and a lot of people seem to watch it around that time, so 4th of July movie if you're looking for one.
Yes, and the third one is called Heading Home, The Sandlot Heading Home.
Oh, okay. See, I knew home was in it.
Yes,
I just made it a Hallmark special.
yes. Anyway, let's move along to one of our favorite segments here and go into what Marshall is going to have us watch next.
All right. Well, you we've done a few, I don't want to say bad movies, but not conventionally good movies lately. You've kind of brought us back on track with The Sandlot. And I'm going to continue that trend by taking us to 1937. The movie was not made in 1937. It takes place in 1937. 1937 Mississippi to be precise. The movie came out in 2000 and
I think I
stars
know what you
George
should.
Clooney.
Yes, it is.
Stars George Clooney. We are going to be doing "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?"
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, as soon as you said Mississippi 1937 and it clicked. I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, starring George Clooney, Tim Blake Nelson, and John Turturro.
Fantastic choice. I'm looking forward to this one.
This is I love this movie. I don't think I've seen it in a few years, but it's only been just a few years. It's one I watch pretty regularly.
I haven't seen it in probably 15 years.
Okay.
It's been
Uh,
a
a,
long, long time.
a good adaptation of the Odyssey. Um,
Homer's Odyssey?
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. But we can get into that a little bit more on our next episode.
That sounds great to me. All right, let's wrap this up.
Yep.
That was The Sandlot. Thank you for joining us on our adventure to 1962 and baseball. If you'd like to reach out to us, you can do so. watchitbropodcast@gmail.com. We're on Twitter @watchitbropod. We also have an Instagram and Facebook. Our intro and outro music is provided by Nihilor, that intro being Grace, that outro being Haven. And as always, thank you for watching.